Hey guys, welcome to another Hostinger Academy webinar. My name is Kęstutis. I'm one of the faces you can often see here in Hostinger Academy, and I'm joined today by Aleksej, who's representing Omnisend. So before we jump right into the presentation, I'm very curious to see where you guys joining from. So let me know in the comment section. I'll be sure to check that out. And as I said before jumping into the presentation, Aleksej, you're working with Omnisend. Could you tell us a little bit more about what you do there?
Yep. Hello, everyone. Once again, my name is Aleksej, and I work at Omnisend, and I am the person behind the majority of Omnisend Academy's content. So I'm the person working with beginner customers, trying to get them on board, trying to get them activated, and help them achieve the results that they want with their email marketing efforts. I think that about covers it.
That seems like a very interesting thing that you do there. And while we still wait for a bit more people to join, you said you work with beginners. Maybe you have some interesting success stories that you could share with us.
Uh, I think the most amazing thing to me is that OmniSend's templates for emails, for automated emails, and for email newsletters, they seem like very basic to me, but it turns out that they really work. So basically, templates, if you don't know, it's basically so that you don't have to start an entire email from scratch and build it all from ground zero. We have built several dozens of email templates for you by our designer team that you can use and start from. And I noticed some people, after going out through our Omnisend Academy beginners course, I noticed some people sending out emails with those based on those templates without editing a thing. They just add in their logo and don't do anything else. They just leave all the text the way it is, all of the colors the way they are. It doesn't match their brand at all, but they still make money with it, and it's completely mind-blowing to me. Like this one customer, they at the time when I was checking it out, they paid like $20 for Omnisend or something like that. They were just in the very, very beginner stages. They were just starting out. It was like their 7th day, and they sent out this email campaign completely unedited and made $225 off of it, I think. Obviously, not all of that is profit, but you can imagine if that's what they got in 7 days, imagine what they can get in 30 days, in a full month. So that's amazing to me.
Yeah, those seem like some very impressive numbers. So today, Aleksej is going to present us email marketing for beginners, pretty much his basic topic. As you mentioned, he's working with the academy over there. And yeah, so the way this is going to work, we're going to have a presentation with Aleksej here. And after that, we're going to have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments. We'll definitely go through them and get them answered. And without any further ado, we can jump into your presentation, Aleksej.
Yep, I'm really excited to be here today. Thank you so much for inviting me over, Kęstutis, and I'm just really hyped to share all of this information that I've got for you today, guys. And I will be very, very happy to answer your questions at the end. The Q&A is always my favorite part of live webinars. So if you have any questions, please, please, please don't hesitate to ask them, and I will be happy to answer. So I'm going to share my screen right now, and we're going to jump into the presentation that I've got for us today. All right, there we go. It's on the screen. We're live. Awesome. So I always start my presentations with this slide. You know, when I'm doing the webinars for Omnisend Academy, the way that we had this 30-second countdown, I always have this slide in place of that, which basically says, grab yourself some coffee or popcorn in the meantime, because I want everyone, and I see a couple of hellos in the chat. Hi, everyone.
Hey,
Thank you so
guys.
much for engaging with us. Thank you so much for being active. So basically what I want you to do is I want you all to feel comfortable. Of course, we're all here to learn something new, to improve as digital marketers, and maybe in the end, with these skills that we acquire today, make some extra revenue. But I want you to feel like we are learning all of this stuff in a fun way. I want you all to feel comfortable. So if it's coffee that gets you hyped up and relaxed, or if it's popcorn or anything else, grab yourself a cup of that, and let's get this thing rolling. All right. So today's topic is, as you already know, email marketing for beginners. This is a live webinar, not a pre-recorded session. Once again, live Q&A at the end. I will be happy to answer your questions. Now, you all already know what the topic is, so we're not going to spend too much time on this slide. Before we start with the actual content, just a quick introduction from my end. Once again, my name's Aleksej. I'm the senior product expert here at Omnisend, working on the video content and live webinars for our Omnisend Academy learners. And Omnisend, the place where I work at, the wonderful company, is an email and SMS marketing automation platform. Now, I know that that sounds like a lot, but basically everything that we're going to talk about today, all of the email marketing techniques that I'm going to show you, can be done and are done inside of an email marketing automation platform. And Omnisend is a great choice for beginners. I don't want to spend too much time, being salesy and promoting stuff here, but honestly, the thing that I hear most from reviews from Omnisend customers who are just starting out is Omnisend is super easy to use. It's really simple to get started with as a beginner, especially, not only UX wise, but because we have this Omnisend Academy and we have all of the knowledge that you need as a beginner to get started. So if you will be interested after this webinar to try email marketing for yourself, I highly recommend checking out Omnisend, omnisend.com. And we also have a free plan, and not like a 14-day free trial, but a completely free plan for beginners. That's a perfect choice. Up until you have 500 contacts, you do not have to pay anything. So you can try all these things out yourself. All right, enough promo. Let's jump into the content. All right, I don't want to scare you off, guys, and have you leave the webinar because I'm being too spammy here with Omnisend promos. So the agenda for today is on the screen right now. We're going to start with what is email marketing and how does it work for all of you beginners out there who have never heard about it and don't have any idea about how it works and how it can help make you more money or help you make more money. We are going to cover that before we jump into all of the good stuff. And then the good stuff is as follows: how to collect subscribers, how to grow your contact list. Number three, how to convert those new subscribers on autopilot using automation workflows without lifting a finger. Just set those up and you don't have to do anything. It sends emails for you automatically. And then number four, how to keep your audience engaged with weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly email campaigns. We're going to cover all about how to build those out and how to send those. And then number five, email writing tips and tricks. This is probably the most difficult part about email marketing. All of the theory, all of the strategy is always very clear. You collect subscribers, you send them automated messages, and you send them email campaigns. But when it comes to actually filling out those emails, even when you have the pre-built templates, it is a completely different level of writer's block. It's very hard to get through, especially when you are a beginner. So I'm going to share some quick tips to help you know what to write your emails about. And I'm also going to share a bunch of examples from Omnisend customers and from across the internet as we go. All right, and one last thing before we jump in, I just want to outline who this webinar is perfect for. So if you are an e-commerce store owner, this is the best thing for you, because I'm going to show you all of these things that you can apply to your e-commerce store without, it doesn't take long, as you're going to see, and it's going to increase your store's revenue. Omnisend in particular is catered towards e-commerce stores, not just, e-commerce freelancers, although you can make money using Omnisend and doing this for other e-commerce stores. But if you're an e-commerce store owner, all of this that I'm going to show you today is going to be an easy way for you to drive some extra revenue to your store. Now, if you're a digital marketer, as I said, all of these strategies can be used to do email marketing for other people for money. So for example, you can create your own Fiverr or Upwork listing, and you can offer people digital marketing services, and email marketing being one of the most profitable channels for that, you can make money by doing this for other people. And then finally, if you're just an avid learner and you like to listen to someone talking about something technological, and you just enjoy having a good time learning new things, this webinar is for you as well, because I always try to make webinars not only informative, but fun and interesting. In fact, let's do this to have a bit more fun. Let's do this. Go into the chat right now, into the comments, and type in #1 if you are an e-commerce store owner, #2 if you're a digital marketer, and #3 if you are just an avid learner looking for something new today during this webinar. Let's see how many 1s, 2s, and 3s we get. I'm really interested and really curious to see how many of you guys actually have an e-commerce store and how many of you are just hanging out. All right. Now, and that's also going to help me, cater the things that I'm going to be talking about in the main part of the content. All right, I see a lot of 3s. That's great, guys. I'm an avid learner myself. I often join these webinars, even when I don't have the intention to make money or something. It's always fun to just talk to people, especially now with COVID. I really enjoy talking to all of you guys. All right, thank you for being active. All right, a couple of 1s as well, a couple of e-commerce store owners. That's really great to see. I respect and appreciate all of you guys. All right, enough talking. Let's jump into the content. And as I promised, #1 is, what is email marketing and how does it work? First thing I did is I went into Google and I typed in, what is email marketing? And Google gave me a definition, which is as follows. Email marketing is the act of sending commercial messages, typically to a group of people using email. In other words, and a simplified version of that definition is, if you've ever received an email that looks something like this, then you have been email marketed to. Okay, and as you can see, we see some big brands here. We see Apple, we see Nike, we see Dollar Shave Club on the screen right now. Basically, all big brands do email marketing. So it's not something for small brands only and for beginners only. It's a must-have for any established brand, okay? And why is it so important for every brand to be doing email marketing? Well, there's 3 things, okay? And there's going to be a lot of numbers in this webinar. I like to do, I really like to structure things this way, where we have 3 steps or 5 things or 7 quick tips, so prepare for a lot of numbers. So #1 biggest benefit of email marketing is obviously the fact that it brings in more revenue, specifically for e-commerce stores. Around 15 to 30% of monthly revenue for e-commerce stores on average comes from email marketing. So if you have an e-commerce store, I saw a couple of #1s in the chat. So if you have an e-commerce store and you're not doing email marketing, you're basically leaving 15 to 30% of extra monthly revenue on the table, while you can implement these strategies today and simply get it, okay? So don't be one of those people who are missing out. #2, email marketing is very cheap to start with. And the ROI, return on investment, on email marketing efforts is usually and roughly around 1 to 40. I think the exact number is 1 to 39 point something, like 0.3 or 0.7. But basically, for each dollar that an average e-commerce store spends on email marketing, roughly $40 are made back, which is a huge, huge, huge ROI. Compare that to Facebook ads, for example. When you're trying to acquire a new customer with Facebook or Instagram ads, obviously and naturally, it takes a lot of money. It costs a lot, especially I've read some data online that the average cost for Facebook and Instagram ads has increased by 2.5 times over the past COVID year. Over just 1 year, it grew almost 3 times, which is insane. While mostly email marketing is done to your existing customer base. So just compare it in your head, how much it costs to convert a new customer who is completely cold to your marketing, how to warm them up and to convert them into a buyer, and compare getting someone who is already interested in your products, who has maybe bought from you before. Send them a couple of emails and you get them to buy again, and then you get them to buy again a couple of months later, and again and again and again. Just think about the ROI on that. And then number three, getting a bit further from all of the numbers, and talking about the human side, email marketing allows you to build relationships, lasting and deep relationships with leads and customers, and it's a channel to speak directly to them. It's very, very important, and there's not a lot of channels like this where you can directly reach out to your customer base, and it will be when it's convenient for them, because they're going to it's not going to be intrusive, because they're going to read the email when they open up their email inbox, when it's convenient for them, and they're going to see your message. So pretty much always it's a perfect timing, it's a perfect relevant message. So I mean, yeah, human side, build relationships with people. Don't get focused too much on the numbers. All right. Now, I hope that that was enough to convince you guys that email marketing is a must-have, especially for e-commerce store owners. But if you're just looking for a new skill, maybe you want to do it as a freelance business, it is lucrative and there is always demand for it, okay? Big brands are all doing it, and you can find brands who are not doing it and help them make extra revenue. Now, let's talk about how does it actually work now that we know of the benefits. And there's also three things, okay? Very simple. Number one, you collect subscribers. Usually it's done by offering an incentive in exchange for people's email addresses. Email address is basically one people inside of your contact list, inside of your audience. If you don't have their email address, you cannot send them emails. So you cannot do email marketing. So that's why this is step number one. Number two is we have to set up automated messages. We're going to talk about this in more detail later, but we want to have at least two essential automations. Well, to welcome new subscribers and to recover abandoned carts. And once we are through the initial setup of building out the emails and building out all of the triggers and rules, we don't have to do anything. We enable it and it runs for us in the background on autopilot while we sleep. Insert another catchy, salesy word here without lifting your finger forever. So that's the power of automated messages. And then number three, we also have to be proactive and engage with those people on a regular basis. We don't want to, have them in our list, welcome them with our messages, but then completely forget about them. So we will reach out to them with weekly or bi-weekly, or at the very least, monthly newsletters where we share news and announcements, engage with them, and promote products and content. So that's where the majority of revenue comes from these regular newsletters. And as you can see, these three exact steps are the major part of today's presentation. So I'm trying to make all of this as actionable as possible, so I didn't include any extra unnecessary stuff. So we're going to jump right in right now and talk about how to do these three things and how to become an email marketer. Number one, how to collect subscribers. To grow your contact list, you have to capture people's email addresses, and the primary way of doing that is sign-up forms that you either embed onto your e-commerce store or onto your personal website. Again, maybe you don't have an e-commerce store yet, or you are, not planning to have one at all. Maybe you're building out a personal brand, but you want to have a list of people who you potentially turn into customers. You can embed a sign-up form on your personal website and do the same. But I'm going to be talking mostly of e-commerce stores, right? And I already talked about this. If we don't have people's email addresses, we cannot market to them. So there's three. Oh, and once we do get their email address, they will appear inside of our contact list. This is my contact list inside of Omnisend. I have a bunch of contacts here, like 2,000. Now, this is a test store, okay? So I'm not going to boast like I have 2,000 contacts. But essentially, you will have Omnisend or some other tool that you're using for this. Once again, I'm trying to be completely platform agnostic. You can do this with many other platforms, but I obviously recommend Omnisend. And then over time, you're going to have this number grow and grow and grow and grow. And the more people you have, the better results you're going to see. So keep in mind that this takes dedication and patience, okay? And there's 3 major types of sign-up forms that you're going to be using in order to collect people's email addresses. Number 1 is the pop-up sign-up form. This is basically the most popular type of form out there, and pretty much every e-commerce store, or the majority of them, have one. And it appears either immediately or after a certain amount of time is spent on an e-commerce store, or when some action is performed. For example, you scroll down a certain percentage of the page. And as you can see, what I did here for my store is I included an incentive, $5 off your first order, sign up to the newsletter, and you're going to receive $5 basically for free, because I am confident that in the long run, I'm going to, on average, make this $5 back and much more than that. And then the person interested by this offer, they enter their email address and they subscribe to our marketing list. That's how it happens. That's our first contact. Now let's talk about what messages we can include in those pop-up forms. And I recommend getting started with the pop-up. It's very simple. As you can see, there's just a couple of lines of text that you have to fill out, and you're basically set. And if your store is on one of the major e-commerce platforms like Shopify or BigCommerce or WooCommerce, you can easily integrate it with Omnisend and set up a form like this in like 10 minutes. No joke. If you have like a personal website, there are many other platforms, not for e-commerce stores, for people with other use cases that you can use to do this as well. So this is not just for Omnisend, okay? So there are different various messages that you can include inside of the pop-up. Number 1, you can just simply invite people to subscribe. So this one says, register below to receive our newsletters with the latest products and include exclusive offers. So no big incentive here, just getting the people who are truly interested to subscribe, and then we're going to reach out to them later. Number 2 strategy is what I just showed you with my pop-up form, is to include an incentive. And it could be anything. It could be a certain percentage off your first order. It could be a dollar-based. In fact, I read online, now this is not Omnisend data, so I take this with a grain of salt, but I personally react much better to dollar-based discounts too. Basically, the piece that I saw said that dollar-based discounts convert up to 3 times better than the percentage-based discounts. So if you can afford to do like $5 or $10 off your first purchase, that's going to, on average, convert better than like 10 or 15% off your first purchase. And you can also do free shipping codes as well. And then finally, another very popular use case for pop-up forms is exit intent pop-up forms. So whenever someone drags their cursor outside of the screen, just like that, trying to leave the store, they are going to see this message trying to get them back. Wait, don't leave and get 25% off your first purchase for staying. That works for a lot of people. For some people, it doesn't. So experiment, try, and see what works best for you. Now, the second most popular type of sign-up form is a landing page. And a landing page is something that's more widely used for people without e-commerce stores, because you can use a lot of different offers for this one, not just, percentage or dollar-based discounts or free shipping. In this case, it is free shipping. But what a lot of people will do is they will offer a free info product, for example, a free PDF on how to lose weight or something, and they will capture people who are interested in losing weight by giving them this freebie, and then they will send them emails with more and more and more information, and then they will sell them on their actual info product or supplements or whatever else. So building a landing page and offering a freebie is one of the most popular ways for building a contact list without an e-commerce store. And then finally, the third type of sign-up forms is gamified sign-up forms. So inside of OmniSend, we offer this Wheel of Fortune thing, basically the same as the pop-up. It integrates into your e-commerce store, and people can play this. They spin the wheel, it actually spins on the screen, and they can win discounts and free shipping codes, etc. And once again, to redeem that, they simply have to enter their email address. And another really popular type of gamified forms is quizzes. So this one is, once again, from a fitness example. I just found it on Google. That sounded so wrong. But basically, it's like fill out this, complete this quiz to figure out your physique, body shape, type, and we will send you the most suitable program for your body type. And once you complete all the 4 steps here, as you can see, it's going to send you whatever it's going to send. I don't know. I didn't subscribe to this. I just did this to show you guys. Okay, so those are the primary ways of collecting subscribers. Once again, it's going to take time. It's going to take dedication. You have to drive actual traffic to those forms to collect people's email addresses. Be patient and put in the work, and never buy a contact list. Okay, just a word of warning. Purchased contact lists never work. You are never going to make any money off of them. You're just going to lose money, and you're going to risk getting in trouble. So just remember, never buy a contact list. Okay, that was a lot about collecting subscribers. Now we're going to talk about how to set up automations. Remember, we want to reach out to those people who subscribe for $5 off, or for 15% off, or for free shipping, or for a free PDF. We have to actually follow up on those people, right? We have to send them whatever they subscribed for. So it's very important to at first have a welcome automation, and then the abandoned cart automation is another very powerful one. So let's jump right in, a very logical second step. Now let's talk about how automations in general work. The example here is, once again, OmniSend's automation builder, but pretty much any other automation builder is going to work the exact same way. I just personally use OmniSend, and I work at OmniSend. So that's why it's on the screen right now. Okay, so basically everything here goes from top to bottom, right? People start here, and then they fall down this funnel, as people often call it. They go down this automated sequence of messages from top to bottom. On top, we see the trigger. That's where everything starts. Subscribers enter the workflow when they sign up with an OmniSend form. If this was an abandoned cart automation, it would say something like, subscribers enter the workflow when they leave something inside the cart and leave your store. So this is where and when people start receiving messages inside of this workflow. Then after that, there's also an exit condition. Customers exit the workflow when they make a purchase in your store. We want to make sure that we're not spamming people with too many emails. So if they do make a purchase, and our goal is trying to get them to make a purchase, if they do make that purchase, we're going to stop sending them messages in this particular workflow. But then we can still, anytime we want, we still can reach out to them using campaigns. Now, the next thing that happens is, after a delay of 1 minute, this is just here just to make sure that nothing goes wrong on the technical side, we send them the first email. Welcome to the club. Check out the benefits. You can change this to be whatever you want. Essentially, the point I'm trying to make is, we send them the message automatically. And inside of that message, we're going to include whatever they signed up for. So be it the discount code, the PDF, we're going to send them that inside of this message. And then if we want to, we can include more messages. We recommend using at least a 1-hour delay in between those messages to make sure that, once again, we're not sending too many emails to our customers and looking spammy and annoying. And as I said, we can include another email, and then so on and so forth, as many emails as we want. And if we want to add something else, we can always do it from the left here. The editor is completely drag and drop, so we're just going to grab it from the left and drag it into the builder, and we're done. Now, talking about the emails, we're not going to talk about the editor right now. We're going to talk about that when we talk about campaigns. But let me go back for a slide. Every message here you can click, and you can click edit content, and you will be able to modify everything about these emails. So let's talk about the two most essential, most effective, most powerful automation workflows. And those are the welcome and the cart abandonment workflows. In Q4 of 2020, so 1 year ago, over 50% of all automated messages sent were welcome and cart abandonment messages. So if you think about it as, the 20-80 rule, the 20% of effort brings in 80% of the results. This is basically that same rule for automated messages. Set up the welcome and the cart abandonment, and you're good to go. And then everything else you can build on top of that once you get more experience. And once again, there's 3 steps for each of these workflows. So for the welcome automation, and the reason there's 3 steps is because 3 emails is the recommended number for the number of emails inside of each of these workflows. Data shows that 1 to 2 emails is not quite enough. 3 emails is the perfect number of emails for a welcome and for an abandoned cart automation. So in email number 1, or you can rearrange these whatever way you want, but the first email always has to have the offer that people sign up for, the discount, the PDF, etc. As promised, here's your 15% off coupon. Now, email number 2 or email number 3 or email number 1, this one doesn't really matter where you put it, but you want to introduce your brand and best-selling products inside of one of these welcome messages. So welcome to Basic Piece. Check out our all-time fan favorites. Follow us on social media. Here's what you can expect from the subscription, and here are some interesting reads to check out. Basically, you want to introduce people into your brand and to what they can expect from the subscription. And then number 3, start developing a deep connection with them. This is why email marketing is awesome, right? Because you don't just chase money, you actually develop real human connections between you and your customers. And that's why the ROI is so huge on emails, because you don't just go for money. I'm talking about the same thing, I guess. But basically, you want to develop a deep connection with people who you're talking to. So tell them a bit. One of the tips here is do some storytelling. Tell them about what makes your brand unique. Tell them about the background story of how it all started back in 2012 or whatever, how you were first working on this business back in your garage or something like that. So tell them all of that, and they're immediately going to relate to you better. And as a result, they're going to be more likely to buy your product. And here are a couple of examples that use these tips that I just talked about. So this one is from Nourish Natural Products, one of OmniSend's customers who started through OmniSend Academy. They watched our beginner's course and they did everything to a T, and they are seeing great results currently. And this is their welcome message. So instead of just putting their brand's logo on the top, like we always recommend to do, they went a step further and actually included, besides it, a picture of the team behind the product. So you see immediately they're developing a deeper connection, a human connection between the brand and you, and that goes a long way. And then a very short, simple message and the discount code that people sign up for. The form on their website says subscribe for 15% off. And that's what they deliver in this message. Very, very simple. Number 2 example that I've got for the welcome automation is from Zapier. Now, in case you haven't heard of Zapier, it's basically another app that allows you to connect other apps between each other. For example, if you don't have a direct integration between OmniSend and some other app, you can use Zapier to make that integration possible. And when you create a Zapier account, they send you this welcome email, which is titled Getting Started, What's a Zap? And basically, they tell you everything that you need to know to get started with using their platform. The workflows that you create in Zapier are called zaps. They can help you automate many common tasks. And a zap is always made up of a trigger and an action. And here's what a trigger is, and here's what an action is. So basically, the exact thing that I just told you: introduce people to your brand. In this case, they're introducing us to how to use their app. You, if you have an e-commerce store, might introduce them to your best-selling products and the social media channels that they should follow. Things along those lines. Now, the number two automation that you must have, as we said before, is the abandoned cart automation. And there's, once again, three email guidelines that I'm going to tell you. So number one, you always want to, in the first email, you want to remind people about what they're missing out on. Here's what was left in your cart. Inside of Omnisend's email builder, with most major e-commerce platforms, you can actually integrate it so that it's going to pull the abandoned products automatically and add them to the cart. So it's a super personalized message. You're telling them, here's what you're missing out on, here's what was left in your cart, and they will see the exact products that they were browsing and adding to cart inside of that email, which is really, really powerful. Now, in case that doesn't work, you can try to win them back with an incentive. Once again, just like with getting their email address, what's the chance that someone is going to give us their information for free? Well, the chance is much higher when you add an incentive factor. And the same with the abandoned cart. They might be hesitating. They might be looking at the same products with a competitor. So you say, come back and finish your checkout with an extra 10% off. And a lot of people are moved by a simple discount of 5 to 10% off. It's recommended to do a small amount like that for abandoned cart automations. Data shows that going above 10% doesn't increase the conversion rate that much, surprisingly. So 5 to 10% off is the sweet spot here. And then number three, a very powerful technique for email marketing in general, but especially for the abandoned cart automation, is you want to induce a feeling of urgency. Tell people this is the final call to get back and complete your order. It expires in 12 hours. And if you don't do this, the discount is going to be lost. The products are going to be lost. They might be limited stock and they might all sell out, and you're never going to be able to get them back again and buy these and get the benefit of having those products. Something along those lines. You would be surprised by how many people are moved by simply telling them that, not just here's what you're missing out on, but telling them here's what you're missing out on. This is your last chance. It's really, really powerful. All right, and let's look at some examples. Once again, the same as with the welcome automation, the Happy Being Company. This is another brand that went through the Omnisend Academy course, and they subscribed our Academy email to their newsletter. And I just noticed this email inside of my email inbox today. So seems like I was checking some of their products out, and they sent me this abandoned cart email. And this exactly follows all of these guidelines that I just told you about. Don't miss out on the items you really wanted. They're trying to get that emotional factor out. They want me to feel the pain of missing out on these products. Here's a reminder to live your best life. Delicious health and wellness is just a click away. A really, really great and powerful marketing message. And then the call to action: complete your order. And as I said, they pull the products that I was looking at and added to my cart, and they included them inside of this email. Once again, you don't have to do any of this manually. When you have an abandoned cart automation set up, it does all of the work for you. And then the second part of the email, this was above the fold. I had to scroll down, so I included it on the side here. They also added a discount inside of this first email. So seems like they experimented with it and it just worked better for them to have it inside of the same email, not in email number two. So once again, you can mix these up and you can put it inside of one email or inside of two separate emails, whatever works best for you. And the discount code, as you can see here, is randomly generated. because they used OmniSend's discount content block. And the discount content block with Shopify and BigCommerce stores creates the discount code inside of your store and puts it inside of the email. So you're not running the risk of people sharing your discount code online and then you finding it in Google and seeing that 100 different people use this discount code. This will generate a unique one for every single customer. So really, really convenient tool. Now, example number 2, another OmniSend customer, Koala by Hang Time Gear. I'm not going to get into too much detail about what their product is, but basically they used the urgency technique. They said, we don't mean to alarm you, we're being friendly, but your coupon code is going to set sail in 12 hours. So they are inducing that feeling of urgency. But they're being really friendly. Not to worry. Come back, and everything is going to be fine. We're waiting for you. And a really great call to action. Take me back to my cart. All right, and those are the 2 most powerful automation workflows. I hope that information, helped you get a good understanding of how those work and what messages you want to include in those. And another piece of data about automations, 32, and this is from 2020, 32% of all email conversions in 2020 came from automated messages, while only 2% of total messages sent were automated messages. So in other words, just 2% of total messages made 1/3 of the money, and those messages were automated ones. So really, really powerful, really cheap thing to do because you're not sending millions of emails, right? But 32% of all conversions come from this. Now, let's finally talk about the other, 68, right? 68%. This is just 32. Let's talk about email campaigns. Let's talk about how to send those campaigns out. All right, so I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of, once again, how it works inside of OmniSend. Any other email service provider is going to look very similar. So step number 1 is to fill out the campaign settings. The most important thing here being the subject line. All right, and you have a preview here. You're going to see that, this is from the sweater weather. Here's the subject line. Here's the pre-header. So we're going to fill all of this out, and it's going to look something like this. So I'm saying fall winter 21 collection out now, email newsletter about a new collection release announcement. Okay, and I also included a pre-header, bonus 20% off selected items. So if people, they're not sure if this collection is worth checking out, they see that there's also 20% off selected items. Let me check out this email and see what those products are. I might be interested in those. So very, very simple, not getting into too much detail here. Make sure the subject line is nice and catchy and draws people's attention. If they're not interested by the subject line and the pre-header, they're not going to open the email at all. So no matter how beautiful the email is, they're not going to read it. Oh, and
I'm sorry, Aleksej, it seems that your audio cut out. It seems like we're having a bit of a technical problem. We'll sort it out in a minute. I must say, I'm really happy about your presentation, Aleksej. There seems like there's tons of really useful information here.
All right, you can probably hear me now.
Yeah,
I made the
now it's a
mistake
lot better.
of not charging my headphones before the webinar. Okay, so I'm really sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody, but let me see if I can actually hear you. Can you say something, Kęstutis?
Yeah. Can you hear me
All
now?
right, wonderful. I can hear you. So
Awesome.
sorry once again,
Awesome.
everyone, for the technical difficulties. Hopefully you can all hear me nice and clear now, and we're going to continue. So what I was saying is, no matter how beautiful the email looks, how many hours you spend designing the email, it's not going to matter if your subject line is not attention grabbing and clear. So I'm going to go back a step. Let me do that. Okay. Some of the things I did here is I made it very, very short. If I'm not mistaken, 4 words is the sweet spot for email subject lines, okay? And including an emoji is also another quick tip for you. Don't include more than one emoji. That could lead to deliverability issues, but one emoji is a great way to make your subject line more attention grabbing, okay? And now let's talk about the email content. Once again, this is Omnisense email editor, but it's going to be very similar in other email editors. The only difference that I can probably point out is that this is also very easy to use because all of the content blocks, so-called content blocks on the right here, are drag and drop. So if I want to add a title, I'm going to click on this, drag and drop it inside of the email here. So really, really simple for beginners. And you have lots of templates, as I mentioned before, to get started from. Now, I filled mine in from scratch. So it took me about 10 minutes to do this because I've already done this many, many times before. For you, it might take much longer when you're doing this for the first time. I'm going to be honest. So don't get discouraged if you're like sitting on one email for 2 hours, or if you cannot get it finished today and you have to come back tomorrow and continue and finally finish it. That's completely fine, okay? I've been there and done that. So with experience, you are going to get much better at this. You're going to take much less time per email to prepare it. Okay, and let's look at some of the essential things that I did here because, you know, we don't have a lot of time, and designing an email is a whole nother topic. We could do a separate webinar just about email design. So we're going to be very brief here, and we're going to point out the main components that make up the majority of promotional emails. Number one, as you can see, is the logo. And I mentioned this in some of the previous parts of the webinar, that we want to start almost all of our promotional emails with the logo. If you don't do this, people are not going to know who this email is from. This is especially important for your welcome emails. People just subscribed and they don't know what your brand is, who you are, and what to expect. And you send them an email that doesn't even have a logo. I mean, I would be suspicious of an email like that. So make sure to include a logo first things first. Now, the next thing is the navigation menu. This is not completely mandatory, but why not, right? It makes navigation for people easier if they don't bother scrolling down and looking for the Shop Now button on the bottom. They will be able to shop now from here. I mean, I see the sweater, I want to buy it right now, and maybe this Shop Now button is below the fold, meaning that on the first screen, I don't see it. I have to scroll down to see it. Well, I'm going to have the opportunity to click here and go shop. Whatever can make life easier for your readers, do it. Okay, that's the point basically here. Now, number three is a clear headline. Just like the clear and short and concise and compelling subject line, the headline here has to be the same. So use as few words as possible, only the most important information. Make sure that if someone opens the email for half a second, they know what's up, okay? Next thing is a picture or product pictures. If you are running an e-commerce store, you want to share some visual information. If your email is text only, a lot of people are just going to exit right out of that email. I personally do that. I don't read emails that are just text only. It's just too much. We receive so many emails nowadays. Everyone's sending those out, right? I'm not interested. It doesn't get me excited when there's no visual content. So make sure to include some pictures. And then finally, last but not least, is the call to action. In other words, CTA, or, you know, in short, CTA. Super, super important, because what's the point of sending out this email if, like, what are you trying to do if there's no next steps? You're just sharing some pictures of some girls wearing sweaters? No, these are my products. And here is where you have to click next to go to the next step, which is shop these products, okay? So the 5 essential elements of any promotional email are logo, navigation menu, clear headline, picture or product pictures, and last but not least, call to action. All right. And, I pretty much used these. I didn't do anything extra. And this looks like a pretty good branded professional email, if I say so myself. Not perfect. I could spend more time on this and add maybe some more text or background story. But for 10 minutes of work, I'm happy with this. And I just use these 5 exact guidelines that I just told you about. That's the point. And the next step is usually to select who you want to send this email to. So for you, when you're just starting out, you usually don't have any contacts, so don't worry about it. Just send it to all subscribers. But when you start getting more advanced, you have more and more people inside of your audience, start looking into segmentation. It's a very important thing to do to keep your audience healthy, to make sure that the people who are not active, who maybe use the fake disposable email to subscribe, that you're not wasting money sending to those people. And finally, step number 4 is to review and confirm everything. As simple as that. There's a few more settings here inside of OmniSend, but basically, when you're done, you click send now and you celebrate. Great job. Okay. So if you make it that far and send out your first email campaign, you've completed the game. You've beat the game. You have done everything there is in email marketing to do. As far as the beginner stuff go, there are some more things like segmentation, as I said, keeping your contact list healthy, etc. But for the beginner side, that's basically it. So give yourself a pat on the back. You did a great job. Now, one last section that I have, this is going to take just a couple of minutes, and then we're going to kick off the Q&A, is some quick tips and tricks for email writing. As I said, that's like the most difficult part of all of this thing. Building out, I remember myself when I was starting with email marketing back in 2016, I think. The first thing I did was I built out the landing page. I built out all of the automation. I remember that I had like 2 different paths. So some people go into this path, the others go here, and it's all so advanced and interesting and effective. But when it came to actually writing the emails, that's where I was completely stuck. So I hope that these quick tips give you some ideas and help you make your emails better. So number 1, start with a content calendar. Okay, very simple concept. Basically, you can do this inside of any platform you want. You can do this inside of your Google Calendar, inside of your Apple Calendar, or whatever it's called. Sorry, I don't use that. Basically, your Apple device's calendar. You can do this inside of an Excel sheet, or you can do this on paper. Completely doesn't matter. What matters is for every week, if you simply do not have enough content to send email campaigns every week, you can do bi-weekly or at least monthly. But monthly is the bare minimum to keep your audience active. So for each of those days, if we're doing weekly for each week, if we're doing monthly for each month, we're going to prepare an email category. So for example, week number 1, a product release announcement. Week number 2, a content-focused campaign, like sharing a new video or a new blog post. Email number 3, week number 3, a discount-focused campaign, like sales promo of the month. These items are 20% off. And then week number 4, lots of numbers today. Week number 4, promo of some high inventory items. We have a lot of these items. We want to get rid of them. And here's the kicker. Here's the beauty of the email calendar. When the next month comes, you just repeat these 4. So prepare the 4 categories that you are confident that you're always going to have content for, and then repeat every month. Or if you're sending monthly, repeat every 4 months. And this way, you will always know what to write your next email campaign about. Number 2, set a clear goal for every email. This is very important because of those call to actions, right? If you don't know what is the goal of the email, you're not going to know what to write right here. In this case, Apple's goal is to promote the iPhone 13 Pro. So the call to action is buy. In this case, though, they thought about it and they thought this email is to promote this conference. We're not trying to sell people on something. We want them to learn more and join this online conference or webinar. So we're going to say learn more. So for every email, think about what is the goal that I'm trying to achieve with this email, and do one per email, one goal per email. Don't make emails where you're trying to promote this and this and this and also invite them somewhere and also share some news. People are not going to read all of that. Make one clear goal per email. Tip number 3, have a clear, actionable CTA. And this is so much easier to do when you have a clear goal for every email. So whatever that goal is, use a verb, an action word, right, to invite people to take that next step, buy or shop or learn more or complete order or take me back to my cart. You see all of these have verbs. Then tip number 4, and I'm trying to finish this really quickly because I want to get to that Q&A, guys. So tip number 4 is tell a story. This is very important for building those relationships. But this is an example from one of our customers. Where's my next slide? There we go. So they recently sent out the promotion of this white eagle jacket, and they say that it's been created in the image of Roald Amundsen. And I went ahead and I Googled, and they also included some information inside of the email of who Roald Amundsen was. He was a Norwegian explorer known as the first person ever to reach the South and North Poles, and he was also a pilot. So a great historical figure. And when you think about it, when you know the history, the story, better to say, behind this jacket, it feels like such a special jacket, and you're ready to pay so much more for it. So that's the power of storytelling. And finally, tip number 4, just click send. I know that feeling when you're getting started, when you're a beginner and you have so many questions, so many things feel so scary, and you're so unconfident. Just click send. If your emails look bad and you don't know how to make it better, click send. You're going to get at least some results. You're going to see that nobody's opening. Well, next time you're going to write a better subject line. You're going to see that nobody's clicking. Next time you're going to write a better CTA. You're not going to be able to learn all of these things if you don't send. Okay, so just click send. All right, that's going to be it for me. That's a wrap, and we're going to move on to the Q&A. Just one last thing, I just wanted to promote a few more interesting resources. If Kęstutis, if we could get the presentation back
Of course.
onto the screen. Thank you so much.
Here we
So
go.
really good emails, guys. This is just pure gold for beginner email marketers and for professional email marketers as well. You can find lots of examples of great emails there. I personally included some examples in today's presentation from really good emails, and I use it on pretty much a daily basis. So for email examples, go to reallygoodemails.com and you will learn so much from the pros. You can search for Apple emails, for Nike emails, for Adidas emails, for Samsung emails, and learn from the best. And then finally, I have to give my content a bit of a promotion. Omnisend Academy, perfect for email marketing beginners, academy.omnisend.com. Check that out. And we have this wonderful series, which is called the Weekly Email Digest. We currently have almost 10 episodes of this out. In each of them, every week we share actionable and simple email marketing tips. So check out Omnisend Academy, scroll down for the Weekly Email Digest playlist, and I hope that it's going to help you learn more if you want to learn more after this webinar. So thank you so much, everyone, and let's answer some of those questions.
Okay, Aleksej, thank you very much for taking the time out of your schedule to share all of this amazing information with us. I must say, I myself belong to the third category of people who are just interested and curious and want to learn more. And I'm very happy with all the details that you provided with us. So now let's move on to the Q&A section. The first question that's coming up is this compatible with WordPress to send post notification to subscribers? It seems like you're muted. Let's see here.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much, Kęstutis. My computer is just exploding because I'm doing this, the two screens presentation, and I also have the lights on, so it's really hot in the room. So my computer is just, I think I can probably cook oh, I opened something else. Okay, I can probably cook a steak on this or some fried eggs, so sorry for that. Is this compatible with WordPress? This is compatible with WordPress, but I'm not sure if the post notifications in particular are. What I would recommend you to do is create a free Omniscient account. As I said in the beginning, it's completely free. There's no catch, no 14-day time limit, no 14-day trial. Until you have 500 contacts that you're sending to every month, you don't have to pay anything. So create an account and see if you can get those post notifications set up. And we also have 24/7 support. So you can reach out to them and ask them for help. They are going to know the answer for sure.
Awesome. Moving on to another question that's coming from Pencil Drive. Hey, Kęstutis and Aleksej. Hello. Would these pop-ups decrease page speed?
No, they usually don't unless your computer is, a grill like mine. They usually don't. Usually they load really, really fast. And as I explained, something that you can do is make them not show up instantly, but make them display after like a 7-second delay. I think 7 seconds is considered the best practice. So set it at around 7 seconds. People are not going to suffer from any decreased speed. They're going to have time to actually scroll and look at your products, take a glimpse, and then after 7 seconds, they're going to see the pop-up.
Awesome. Moving on to another question coming from Tip Top Info. And he's asking how email marketing is helpful for any business.
All right. Thank you so much for these questions, guys. By the way, I'm really glad. I wasn't looking at the chat much because I was, doing all of the presentation. I was trying to make sure that we fit in the time, but it was a bit too much. Really sorry for that. But thank you all for asking these wonderful questions. So let's take it to the beginning of the presentation. Remember the three things that I told you about in the beginning. Number one, it's just more money. If it's an e-commerce store business, you have an additional channel to reaching out to people and promoting your products. So number one is just more money. And number two is you develop deeper connections with those people. So you have a channel to directly speak to them. So you can speak about life. You can share an interesting story from work. You can share an interesting story about your products. You develop deeper connections. So that's the second biggest benefit of it. Now, if your business is not an e-commerce store with like products, it's still helpful for your business because you have that channel to talk to people. You can talk to them on other channels like LinkedIn or Facebook or, and Instagram. Those are all fine, but email is like another extra one. So it helps you develop deeper connections with people. I hope that answers your question. Not sure, hard to give a compelling answer when the answer is, or when the question is so broad, for any business. It's going to be different for every different type of business, but it's definitely helpful.
Awesome. Going over our next question that another one of our viewers submitted. Hey there, don't you think that pop-ups are irritating for people? What's your personal opinion on them?
My personal opinion is that you have to be smart about pop-ups. Yes, they can get irritating for sure if you have too many of them, if you have them on all the time, and if they display immediately. But if, as I explained with one of the previous questions, if you have a time delay before the pop-up shows up, you give people time to actually look at your products and understand what is your store about, and then you send them the pop-up. For example, I looked at, this is a real life story, okay? This was maybe like half a year ago, but I was looking at some supplement product online, and I looked at it, really cool. I'm interested, and after like 10 seconds, a pop-up came up saying €5 off your first order. Of course I signed up. I was interested in buying that anyway. So why not subscribe for €5 off? And then I'm still subscribed to them until now. And I'm still buying their products until now. I check their emails because they share new flavors of their shakes and things like that. So if you deliver value to people in those pop-ups and in your emails, it's not going to be irritating. And have smart rules, like triggers for it. And don't have several at the same time. Okay, that's
Awesome. I was also very interested, and yeah, this is a great question and an awesome answer for it. And another question coming in from the same viewer: have you tried video content in email marketing? Do people watch videos sent by email? If not, what's the best type of content to send?
There's a lot of data online that supports video in email marketing. Now, I've never tried it myself, although I'm the guy making video content, right? Mind blowing. But day to day, there's so much to do that this is just something that's been on my backlog for so long to try out. Is video going to benefit my emails for OmniSend? I just haven't gotten around to trying it out, but countless sources of data online support videos in emails. They say that, I think Wistia is like a video hosting platform. They say that it increases click rates by up to like 400% or something like that, something along those lines. So according to general information, it's really, really good. I've never tried it myself though.
Great. And another question from the same viewer: is it possible to contact you somehow if we have any more questions?
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for asking. Let me actually go into the comments. Can I actually comment in the comments? No, I don't think I can comment in the comments. Okay, well, I'm going to give you my team's email address, and you can reach out to us if you have any questions about email marketing. Okay, let's do that. The email address is academy@omnisend.com. Okay, academy@omnisend.com. You can reach out to us, and either me or one of my team members, we're going to give you an answer. Let's do that.
Great. And another question coming in from Ugna: what do you think is better, to send an email signed by your name, let's say, hi, it's X name from X company, or just send it as a company?
I always send out emails signed by me, Aleksej from OmniSend, because I feel that that brings a more personal and human touch to those emails. And if you were watching the presentation attentively, you probably, or if you were counting while watching the presentation, you would probably count like 50 times that I said the words connection and personal and human throughout the presentation. So I'm really big about that, and I always send from Aleksej@omnisend.com, and I always on the bottom say best OmniSend Academy team or best Aleksej from OmniSend Academy. I want people to feel that this email is from a person, not a robot.
Okay. And another question from the same person: you've actually sort of covered it in your presentation. Do you have any tips on how to write a catchy subject line for email so that people would want to open it?
All right, great question. Thank you so much. This is actually something that I would love to cover in more detail inside of the webinar, but there already was not enough time, right? So I'm glad that you asked. So number one tip that I would give for writing good subject lines is be very, very clear. You don't want to mislead people. If I look at a subject line and I don't really understand what is this about, I'm not sure if I'm interested, I'm less likely to open it. But if I see that, oh, this is exactly something that I would like to check out right now because it's so clear, it's like new, whatever we were writing before, right? New collection, out now, 20% off selected items. There's no unknowns. I know what this email is about. And if that is interesting to me, if that's truly interesting to me, I will open that email. If that's not interesting to me, well, what's the point of sorry, I don't want to sound wrong here. If I'm not interested and there's a misleading subject line and I'm going to open that email, I'm not going to buy anyway. So be very clear, and only people who are interested, who are really interested, will open, and you're going to have a better click rate and you're going to have better revenue. Hope that makes sense.
Amazing. Going over to our next question coming from Invoice Technology. Should we get download video of this webinar? I can answer this one for you. So this webinar will stay available on Hostinger Academy YouTube channel, and all of this amazing information that Aleksej shared with us will be accessible. So make sure to stay subscribed and you'll be able to find it in no time.
All right.
Awesome. A question coming in from Bernadetta. Hey, can you share your tips on how to maintain high email open rate? Well, it's sort of what you already talked about. Is there anything you would like to add to this?
Yeah, just a quick recap. Make sure to include your brand name. So as we saw in the example, when I was filling out my email campaign, I wrote the sweater weather, which is the brand name of my test store. So make sure that people know who it's from so they don't have trust issues. Make sure that the subject line is super clear and short and catchy, include an emoji, and write a pre-header to give a little bit of a sneak peek. Pre-headers are generally beneficial. Those are the tips.
Awesome. Moving on to our next question. Is it better to write marketing emails for people in a familiar or official manner?
Great question. I love it. Now, a little bit of an addition to the previous answer. Just thought about this, but it's very, very important to actually write good and interesting and valuable emails to people. Don't spam people. Don't write content that you yourself would not be interested in reading. Ask yourself, would this be interesting to me? If not, well, it's not going to be interesting to other people. So when you write actual good content, people are going to see that you are a good brand. They're going to trust you, and they're going to open all of your emails going forward. So if you write bad spammy content, no matter how good subject lines you write, people are not going to open it. Okay. And to answer this question, this depends on your brand's voice and tone. So it's very important for any marketing initiative, be it email marketing or ads or anything else, to understand who your target audience is and what language they speak and what position do you want to have in that conversation. If you are a B2B, meaning business to business offer or company, it's better to be more on the formal and official side and professional side. But if you are, for example, selling gaming peripherals, right? SteelSeries or Razer. I'm subscribed to SteelSeries newsletters, and I'm a big gamer myself. And they're very funny and quirky and friendly in their emails, and they can afford to do that because their target audience is gamers. It's not business people, right? So think about what is going to be the most fitting thing to do for your business.
Amazing. That's a very informative answer. Let's move on here to Joy Piatti. Hi, I'll be having a sale on my website soon. Congratulations, by the way. How many reminders should I send to my audience?
What I would do is here are recommendations. Take them with a grain of salt. You don't have to do everything to a T. But number one thing you could send is a pre-sale announcement saying something like, this sale goes live in 4 or 5 days. You could either do a completely standalone email for that, and you could also use a third-party app. This is something that we don't have in OmniSend, but you can do it with third-party apps like Nifty Images, for example. Nifty Images, something that I found out recently. It's like super easy to use. And what you can do is you can create a countdown timer with Nifty Images, and you can embed it inside of the email and make the countdown until the sale goes live. And that's going to drive some hype, some urgency for the sale. Number two, send them a reminder when, or an announcement, better to call it, when the sale goes live. And number three, you can do a last chance type of thing, like, reach out to them, say it's been 5 days or however many days, but I would do 4 or 5 days again here after the sale went live, and you say that we are running out of stock really quick. This is your last chance to, we saw that you opened the email and you looked at these items and didn't buy. This is your last chance to buy if you're really interested.
I see. Okay. Next question coming from Sanjay. How effective is email marketing for a business-to-business platform? So going back over to the business-to-business topic.
Super important, very effective, okay? Because in B2B, trust matters even more than in B2C. And talking directly to your potential customers, to your leads through email is one of the best ways to build that trust. The thing that I called building relationships or building human connections all throughout the emails, it's basically a synonym, or sorry, what did I say? All throughout the webinar, all throughout the presentation. I was talking about that. And in other words, it's building trust. And for B2B, trust is super important. So email is very, very effective. Build that trust, nurture people, talk to them, give them valuable information. They're going to see that you're legit and that they can trust you. And then they're going to be more and more likely, much more likely to buy from you.
Amazing. Next question is coming in from Natalia. Could you share which are the top metrics that we should consider?
All right. So in the past, it used to be open rates, but now, if I think a month and a half ago, Apple released iOS 15, and one of the features is in iOS 15 is mail privacy protection, which makes it so that we don't have accurate open rate data anymore, because for all of Apple Mail users, it just shows 100%. Now, the percentage of Apple Mail, the percentage of emails open through Apple Mail is around 50%, and around 30% of those are already using the new version and using mail privacy protection. So that's like 20% of all of your data, and it's completely inaccurate. It's just showing 100%. So long story short, open rates are no longer reliable. Do not look at open rates. Look at click rates and revenue. I would say click rates because it's an earlier indicator than revenue. But basically, if nobody's clicking, then you're not going to see revenue from those emails. You have to make sure that there's a good click rate. I would say that, and this differs from industry to industry, but about 2.5% click rate is pretty good for e-commerce. It varies from 1.5 to 5%. From, in different industries, but generally 2.5% is good.
Great. Our next question is coming from Learning Design. Is it worth to send newsletters about the brand and company news once a month? Maybe you have any case studies or experience on that?
Yep, definitely. A lot of companies send exactly that. They send you weekly updates, or they send you monthly updates. I don't know what exact example to give you, but basically every company, every digital company does that. So absolutely, yes. That's going to help you make sure that people remember about your brand. And when you reach out to them with an actual sale, important announcement or something like that, they're not going to have to spend a couple of valuable seconds thinking about, well, what is this brand? I don't remember. Who is this? They're going to remember because you're reaching out to them on a consistent basis, every month or every 2 weeks or every week, however often you can.
Okay, and our last question coming from Sherlock. Why email marketing takes much time to hit?
Well, like any other skill, it does have a pretty steep learning curve, and it's not very easy to get started, especially if you don't already have traffic running to your e-commerce store or to your website of your personal brand. Without traffic, it's very hard to build a big contact list, and without contacts, you don't have anyone to send emails to. So it's a long process, especially if you don't have the budget for paid ads and you have to run all of that traffic to your website organically. That takes a lot of time. And then learning all of the skills required for, running a good email marketing strategy, there's a lot that goes into it. You have to be able to design beautiful and professional looking emails. You have to be able to write great sales copy. You have to become a great marketer overall, not just someone who builds automation workflows well. So there's a lot of different skills that go into the skill of email marketing. That's why it's so difficult. But if you really stay at it, be patient, and work hard, it's a really great skill to have nowadays.
Awesome. And I see that one more question has rolled in, coming from Eduardo. Hi, is there any recommended structure to edit email mailings and reinforce the lead that I want? Buy, subscribe, other action. And thanks, good presentation.
All right, thank you so much. And basically, I kind of touched on this before, like the structure that you want to have. You want to have a good mix of, let me see if I understand the question correctly. Right, we were trying to make sure that the lead does what we want, right? I hope that I am understanding the question right. So you have to be smart about the way that you're editing your email. You don't want to have too much in there, and you have to identify what is that number one action that you want your reader to take. So whether, as you mentioned here, like buy, subscribe, other action, think about and determine what action do you want them to take after reading this email. And when you have that mindset, when you have that determination in mind, it will be so much easier for you to make an email structure that supports that goal. If you're trying to promote a blog article and a webinar and sell your product and something else at the same time, the structure is going to be unclear and chaotic. If you're sending an email like the Apple example that I shared earlier today of inviting people to their conference, remember how much text was there? It was like one sentence or 1.5 sentences, okay? Because they know what the email is about. It's about inviting people to the conference. That's it, nothing else. So outline one clear goal for each email. That's going to help a lot.
Awesome. Thank you guys for all of these amazing questions. And Aleksej, thank you once again for your expertise on the topic. Would there be anything else you would like to shout out before we wrap up the webinar?
Thank you so much, Kęstutis. Thank you so much for having me today. I guess I would love to shout out all of you guys at Hostinger Academy for inviting me over. It's been a really fun time, and I really, really hope that all of the viewers enjoyed the presentation today and got their questions answered in the Q&A. Yeah, right. Shout out to all of you who watched today. How could I forget? Shout out to all of you guys. You're amazing.
Awesome. So thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, best of luck in your online journey.